In this episode, today we're flying from Paris to Morocco to begin our adventures in the red city of Marrakech. This is the first time I've been on the African continent, and I was happy to mark Morocco as my first country. It's been a dream destination of mine for many years now. I've always been so fascinated by the architecture, intricate mosaics, and of course, the cuisine. I'd done a little research on what to expect in Morocco, so I knew there'd be a bit of a culture shock, but I wasn't expecting this. Yep, that's a swarm of angry taxi drivers. So when Jonathan and I arrived at the airport, we were quickly ushered into one of the cars. What we didn't know at the time was that he already had a passenger in the front seat. So as we were leaving, there was absolute chaos when all the other taxi drivers were understandably pissed that he had taken 2 clients. As I said, not quite the shock I was expecting, but we ended up making it safely to Riad Elegancia, where we were greeted with traditional Moroccan mint tea and sweets. Jonathan.
What?
Are you already digging into our honeymoon nuts? Oh yeah, this is our honeymoon, by the way, which is why they had set up the sweetest surprise for us.
Cute.
This Riad is so beautiful, and you'll see more of it in the room tour in the next episode. Our day ended at Jardin Majorelle Square, where you can't film anything without being hassled for a tip. Now that you're all caught up, let's get into day 1. We decided to introduce ourselves to the city with a tour.
So my name is Youssef. I was born and raised up inside the old Medina of Marrakech, and I'm half Berber and half Arab. As you know, as I said earlier, the Berbers are the native inhabitants of Morocco, while the Arabs are the ones who came from Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Syria, so they crossed the Middle East, and the rich North Africa. I'm a father of 3 kids, 2 daughters and 1 son. So today I'm gonna show you the maze of the old Medina, the streets, the alleyways, the dead ends. It's a very exotic place, and we invite you to come to see it with your eyes, okay? Yalla.
Youssef was so kind and knowledgeable. I would highly recommend booking a tour with him for your next trip to Marrakech. His information will be linked in the description box below. Thanks to his knowledge, we got to these gardens early, and you'll see exactly why that's important later. We're here in the Majorelle Gardens, also known as the Yves Saint Laurent Gardens, and these were bought by Jardin Majorelle when he came to visit Marrakech and fell absolutely in love with this place. So he took plants from all over the world, planted them here, but the problem was it is so expensive to maintain, and being a painter, your artwork is often not worth much until you're dead. So what happened is he ran out of money, divorced his wife, moved back to Paris, and got into a bad accident. So these gardens fell into complete disrepair because no one could take care of them.
So Yves Saint Laurent and Pierre Berger started negotiating for these gardens in 1966. It's not until 1980 that they bought this place. Yves Saint Laurent loved these gardens so much, actually, that he wanted his ashes to be spread when he died.
And that's exactly what happened in 2008 when Yves Saint Laurent's ashes were spread around the garden. This electric blue house is now home to Musée Berber, which showcases over 600 artifacts from Morocco's indigenous people, the Berbers. The shade of blue that the house is painted in is called Bleu Majorelle, named after Jacques Majorelle himself, and has even been patented. It is made from a precious stone called lapis lazuli, which can be ground to a powder and used as a pigment.
Tickets hopping on the plane, hit a different country with each other, change your last name. Tell me, is you with it? Cause I'm with it. Why don't you feel the same? Down, 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 down.
What's wrong, baby?
But we have to go to the next place, so let's go.
In recent years, this garden has become incredibly popular and now ranks as one of Morocco's most visited tourist attractions, with around 900,000 visitors a year.
Remember what I said about the early bird catches the early worm? That's a long line right there.
We arrived a little after 9 a.m. and walked right inside, but by the time we left around 10:30, this was the line. So if you don't want to deal with the crowd or waiting in the line, I highly recommend arriving within the first hour that the gardens open.
Down, 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 down.
Our next stop is Bahia Palace, which means brilliance in Arabic. It was built between 1866 and 1876 and features over 150 ornately decorated rooms. In every palace, there are 4 layers to a room: cedar wood, then plaster, tile, and marble on the floor. The cedar wood ceilings are painted with natural pigments: orange from henna, yellow from saffron, green from wild mint, blue from indigo flowers, and purple from jacaranda flowers. All of the plaster you see is carved by hand and typically consists of Arabic phrases or poems.
And by the way, all the noble families during the old time took it as a rule to keep the whole place and the whole palace very simple from outside, but very beautiful and very ornated from inside. And this was done on purpose, because so that the poor would not hold grudge against the rich.
Something the French could learn from. In fact, the vizier would only choose naturally blind musicians to perform at the palace because they would not be able to reveal the opulence and wealth to the outside world. This courtyard was the mistresses section. It's large because the Grand Vizier loved women so much that he had 4 wives and 24 mistresses. All of their rooms face this grand courtyard, and on the other side is an entrance to a beautiful garden.
So just imagine how much water do we need to keep those gardens green all the time. So during the old time, Morocco used a system of aqueducts to push the water from the high Atlas Mountains to the city, relying on gravity. To chisel that fountain over there takes a lot of time. And we value anything that is handmade. And that's why we try to teach the work of the hands, like the work of tiles, chiseling the marble, chiseling the plaster, so that this kind of work will not die out.
Our guide Yusuf was saying that 1 kilo of sugar was traded for 1 kilo of marble. As you can see, there's lots of marble on the ground. So I wonder how much sugar is here.
Morocco exported a lot of sugar to Italy to have marble in return. We use this sugar in the Moroccan tea. And that's why we're so addicted, to sugar. Yeah.
The stained glass windows were one of my favorite parts of the Bahia Palace. When the sun shines through, it leaves rainbows on the walls.
So we were joking with Yusuf that the owner of this palace had 24 wives. I think 1 is already too much. 1 is enough, 1 is enough, 1 is enough, enough.
One of the first things I noticed about Marrakech is the contrast between the peace and calm of the inside of the buildings and the chaos and noise outside. The second was how friendly and close-knit the whole community is. As we walk through the old Medina, you'll notice Yusuf, our guide, greeting everyone as we pass.
Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. See, the donkeys are equipped with the diapers to catch the poo and to keep the city clean. The poop is Cooper.
Our first stop in the old Medina is the community oven.
I would like to show you here very, very, beautiful, rustic, primitive place where time is so frozen. So here we have what is called farran. Farran means the community oven. A community oven is a place where the locals around this place bring their dough to be cooked in that fireplace. I want you to squat down and have a look how big the fireplace is. It's so big and so huge that the guy has some puddles on the right to flip the bread or to take the bread out of the fireplace. This place also is used to roast the peanuts, almonds, and whatnot. And the afternoon, it can be used like a place to cook the Moroccan pastry. So when I was a little boy, one of the chores I did was to take the dough to the community oven every day. So We don't want those places to die out with time, and that's why, we contribute with what we can to leave them doing this kind of job. So every single neighborhood has one mosque, one hammam. Hammam is the bath where we wash our bodies. One community oven like this. One community, fountain, and a small market for vegetables and fruits. So those places, make people here very close to each other. Everybody knows everybody inside the old Medina. Everybody talks to everybody inside the old Medina, and you cannot imagine how much talking we do every day. We can spend the whole day long talking. Do you know why? We have a lot of time. Some people have watches, some people have time. يلا المعلم الله يعاونك. So normally people splash the water on the floor to settle down the dust, because in Marrakech we have a lot of dust.
The souk is a tornado of smells at times. You could easily tell where you were just by the smell. From the leather to the spices, carpets, and blacksmith areas, the pungent smells were always changing.
So the whole souk is divided into sections. We have the spice market, the carpet market, the blacksmith area, so the leather market, and in some places, like the places we saw earlier, it's all mixed together. But in other areas, it's divided into sections like this. The overlapping bricks are red because they have a lot of steel and iron, and that's why Marrakech is called the Red City. Assalamu alaikum. Kidin amas.
We took this time with Yusuf to really familiarize ourselves with the maze of the souk and how to navigate it. In a later episode, Jonathan and I will try to tackle it all on our own and buy some things along the way.
This is shabakia. We use nougat in it, sesame, honey, sugar, flour, salt. It's very, very tasty and very sweet.
Very sweet.
Normally it's very popular during Ramadan time. We break the fasting with something sweet. So it's very, very famous. Haka chef. This is like la crème de la crème of the Moroccan pastry.
This one. Yusuf has been so kind to share it with us. I'm so happy we have, a local showing us around and getting us the most interesting prices, obviously.
What we call the Fatima's hand. It's used like a token to chase away the evil eye, and it brings luck to people. So you may find it like a knock of a door, like a piece of decoration. If it is down like this, it brings luck. If it is pointing upward, it wards off evil. See, very beautiful, full of colors. The auction takes place in the middle of this square after the third time of praying. You understand?
Around what time is that?
Like 4:35, when people finish their praying, they go out and start the auction on carpets here. So you tell me why a lot of people come here. They come just for this. This is so magical, so mind-blowing. As the Americans say, drop-dead gorgeous.
I have to agree, the lantern section of the souk was my favorite. All the light shining onto the brass was in fact drop-dead gorgeous.
Shukran, shukran.
The blacksmith area was my second favorite. I just love seeing the artisans hard at work on their craft. After saying goodbye to Yusuf, we headed back to the Riad to have pastilla for lunch. This one was seafood, but my favorite is the chicken one. It's sweet and savory because it has apples and almonds in it. Trust me, it sounds weird, but you have to try it. If you listen closely, you can hear the call to prayer, which rings out from mosques around the city 5 times a day. We spent the rest of the afternoon lounging in the pool and then enjoyed a nice dinner at Dar Dar Rooftop. in the next episode.